Today's video is dedicated to Casey McClara. Thank you, Casey. Kess Dissident Mage versus Aminatou the Fate Shifter. We have a decent opening hand there. Mystical Tutor into some form of a card draw spell. Yeah, I think we can keep that. So we'll just drop the Underground Sea. I don't know if I'm going to go for the Mystical Tutor at the end of my opponent's turn or not. Yeah, we'll see what they do here. Alright, they just get out of Tapland. Let's have a look and see what we can do with this Mystical Tutor. Maybe it's just Limdul's Vault and we can try and get some lands and some good cards on top of our library. Yeah. Yeah, I think I feel okay with that. So obviously drawing into that, we will shock down the Blood Crypt. And I think I'll go for the Limdul's Vault now. Just in case they hold up counter magic at their end, it's likely in an Esper deck. Alright, we've got Dramatic Reversal and a Swan Song. I think we will pay the life there. Don't really like any of that either. It'd be nice to get into some Moxies, some fast mana, something like that. Yeah, we'll go again. Okay, that's a bunch of lands at least, and a Snap Mage into Mystical Tutor isn't terrible. Yeah, maybe it's worth going for that, because we can Cryptic Command our opponent's stuff. I don't think we can bounce their commander. Oh, return a permanent to its owner's hand. I might actually keep this then. There's no fast mana in there, but we do have the lands at least. So let's go for City of Brass first. Then we can draw into Snap Mage last. We want the Fiery Islet. Cryptic Command we can draw into Watery Grave next turn. And thank you to our opponent for being patient. So we're just playing a tap land and Grim Monolith next turn, and then we'll draw into the Cryptic Command. And then another land after that. And our opponent is not holding up counter magic. They are going for a Talisman of Hierarchy. So like I said, we just drop the Watery Grave in... Yeah, playing it in tapped so that we can go for Grim Monolith. And then it is Coercive Portal for our opponent, so they will draw an additional card on each of their turns. That's how that works in 1v1. Drawing into the Cryptic Command here. Yeah, so we're just holding up Kolaghan's Command. Which two things can we do there? I don't think we can choose Artifact twice. And how many loyalty does Aminatou come in with? She comes in with 3, so we could deal 2 damage to her, I think, but... Yeah, I'd rather just have them discard a card, I think. So we'll get rid of their Coercive Portal, and we'll have them discard. Again, doing this during our turn so that they don't draw a card with the Portal. Consistently dropping lands, though. And it looks like Aminatou the Fate Shifter is coming in. And then they draw a card and put one on top. Holding up a single blue mana, which is noteworthy. I think we might just be holding up the Cryptic Command still. If they've gone for some kind of miracle card, then we can Cryptic Command it. So let's pass at that, I think. It would be nice to end their turn by having their commander back in their hand. And they're consistently making lands over there. Then playing out a Grim Monolith of their own. Now that might be Cyclonic Rift mana that they're holding up. That would be a pretty uneventful Cyclonic Rift, but maybe they're expecting us to go for Kess. So let's go Cryptic Command. We'll bounce their commander. And we'll draw a card as well, I think. So getting into the Snap Mage. And getting into a City of Brass as well, which I don't mind. Let's throw down the Kess. And we can go for Mystical Tutor here, actually. So, yeah, I think we go Mystical Tutor here. And we could go for the Demonic Consultation for Jace here, but it's pretty risky when they're a blue deck with cards in hand. I think I'd rather go for something else here. Or maybe we do just do that and hold up the Fierce Guardianship. Yeah, let's just go for that actually. Let's go Demonic Consultation. Because we do have the counter magic backup potentially. Yeah. Obnixilis Reignited. Do we need to I don't think we need to keep our Kess, do we? If we're going to go for Jace, although Fierce Guardianship won't be free for the counter magic backup then, will it? We can't afford Jace, Demonic Consultation, and to cast Fierce Guardianship. Yeah, I think we just try and keep our commander in play here then. And if they've got counter magic, they might use it here. Looks as though they're just going for their commander. Nope, instead going for more removal. They've held up blue, so there might still be a Spell Pierce or something like that. But yeah, our commander goes down here. Oh, I think we actually could have afforded Demonic Consultation, couldn't we? Yeah, if I'd gone for 3 blue and 1 from this into Jace, Demonic Consultation there, and then the 2 floating mana and blue in Fierce Guardianship from here. So yeah, actually, now that I think about it, we could have afforded that. So maybe shouldn't have cast the Fierce Guardianship there, but we did get some removal out of their hand. It all depends on if they've got 1 mana counter magic, because we're at risk of exiling our library for nothing here. So obviously drawing into the Demonic Consultation, let's throw down the Jace. And then we'll play the Demonic Consultation. We'll name Forest here because there aren't many forests in a Grixis deck. And our opponent scoops to that, so they didn't have the 1 mana spell there. Demonic Consultation would exile our entire library, and then we would tick up with Jace to draw, and we would win the game there. So if you're sick of seeing these Labman, Oracle, Jace combos, then let me know. If you were hoping to see something else in Kess, then obviously let me know. I just tried to make the Kess deck as strong as I could, and that obviously entails putting the strongest combos that you can into the deck. Let me know what you think either way. Kess Dissident Mage versus Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive. And there is the Thassa's Oracle. We don't have any mana, so we'll have to go down to 6. The Thassa's Oracle showing up again. Down to 5, or do we hope for another land and rely on Dark Confident? That's really risky, but we've got very few lands in this deck, so now we're on the play as well. Yeah, let's mulligan. Alright, that's better. Let's keep there. We'll get rid of Vandal Blast and Cryptic Command. And then I think the first thing we do is look at our opponent's hand and pay a couple of life for that. They've got Jeskai Elder, Yarok Commando, Reality Shift, Riptide Pilferer, and a Slitherblade. And then we draw a card off of the Gitaxian Probe, get into another land, that's good. So why don't we just go Ponder here as well. Okay, another land and a Mana Crypt, so we've got a turn 3 Kess if we want it. Don't think I care too much about Praetor's Grasp. So let's draw into the Underground Sea, and then we can get into the Mana Crypt next turn. And then I'll probably shuffle away the Praetor's Grasp after we've drawn into the Mana Crypt. Our opponent just starts things off with the Slitherblade. I don't know if their basics are matching. They are not. So that's the one that we got rid of. And we get rid of the Slitherblade. Okay, so we obviously know what we're drawing into. Let's drop the Marsh Flats. And we'll shuffle away at the end of the turn that card that we don't want. Getting hit for 1 by the Slitherblade. And then it is Riptide Pilferer, which we already know about. So we'll grab ourselves a tap land here. So now we'll draw a new card, hopefully. And it's Aetherflux Reservoir. Alright. I think in that case, I don't know if they're likely to have drawn into a Pongify or anything, so I think we're okay to go for our Kess. Let's just drop the Underground Sea. And it might be that we just go for a Ponder and Aetherflux Reservoir next turn. Alright, that's good. Just going in for the Slitherblade. Didn't want to discard a card to the Pilferer. And alright, it is Ninjutsu. Return a creature that player controls to its owner's hand, so they are going to give us back the Kess. And then play out the Slitherblade again. We do know that they've got a Reality Shift as well. Okay, there's a Fiery Islet. I'll probably just discard that, so let's go for We'll go for the Exotic Orchard. And how's about we force them to use that reality shift? Yeah, I think we just go for Ponder here. We'll hold on to the Gitaxian Probe for when they have drawn into more cards. They've got very little mana here, so they might struggle with a Rhystic Study. We've still got a shuffle effect, so we can get rid of these lands if we want to. So let's just go like that. Draw into the Rhystic Study. And they get into a Mystic Sanctuary. We've already seen that island. And they are getting into their commander, so we are going to have to discard a card to the, where is it, the Riptide Pilferer. So let's get rid of the Fiery Islet. And I think we just need to try and get into a board wipe at this point, because they're going to keep our Kess out of play consistently. Draw into the Mana Confluence. I'm going to shuffle away the other land that we know is on top. Just go for a Badlands with that, and we'll make a Rhystic Study and an Aetherflux Reservoir here, I think. And then we can go Kess into hardcasting Gitaxian Probe next turn. That'll gain us a tiny bit of life at least. Swinging in again, we'll have to discard a card here. We'll get rid of the Confluence. Down to 14. And they might just hold up Reality Shift, which they will be able to pay the Rhystic Study tax on. No, instead going for Skyship Plunderer. When this deals combat damage, it does stuff with counters. Not really bothered about that. Losing the flip to Mana Crypt. That might be half the reason that we lose this one. Alright, a Chain of Vapor. Return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Yeah, we might be able to do that. They sacrifice a land. Yeah, that might be worth doing. So let's go Chain of Vapor onto their commander and see if they want to bounce something of ours. Deciding not to, so let's go for the Kess. And we'll go Chain of Vapor again onto... maybe we do it onto... the Shinobi's easy to get out again, that's the problem. So why don't we just do it to their flyer. Jumping up to 17 life again at least. So it's not likely that we are going to keep our Kess in play. They probably just drop their commander for the Shinobi here, but we're staying in the game as best we can with the Aetherflux Reservoir. Tetsuko Umezawa Fugitive and paying the tax for that. They have gotten down a Cephalid Colosseum. So swinging in again. The triggers are discard a card and bounce our commander. And they do it in the right order, so they bounce our commander and then have us discard it. Noteworthy that they haven't used the reality shift yet. Okay, a Portent is more card draw. I think we will go for Kess again. And then why don't we look at the top cards of our library and just try and get into something relevant. A Toxic Deluge would be nice. Just a bunch of lands in a 30 land deck. Okay, so we will put the shuffle effect on top, although we can shuffle with the Portent anyway. Would you like to shuffle? Yes, I would. And then let's have a look at our opponent's library by paying 2 life, or have a look at their hand even. And they still have the Elder, the Commando, the Reality Shift. Now they've got Ophidian, a Skyship Plunderer we already know about, and Tandem Lookout as well. Yeah, I don't see us winning this one. We just haven't gotten into any of our removal, even though we've got plenty of it. Might as well get out the Lotus Petal because we're going to discard it anyway. Gain a bit of life, jump up to 22. Our opponent might struggle to get rid of us thanks to the Aetherflux Reservoir. So we might be able to buy ourselves enough time with Rhystic Study and the Reservoir. We're probably going to discard this card. Mystic Remora, I can't see us doing much good with that. We will be able to keep tax off of our Kess thanks to drawing that though, because we can discard the Mystic Remora instead. So everything hits us. Discard the Remora and bounce the Kess back to hand. Then it is Yarok Commando, paying 4 mana for that. And we win the flip with Mana Crypt this time. Alright, Mental Misstep, I can't see that being very useful, but yeah, they might play a 1 mana creature that we can just block for the sake of gaining a bit of life. Let's play the Portent and we will look at our own hand again. Gonna hold up the black mana just in case we get into Vampiric Tutor or something like that. Wow, and just more lands. I'm gonna shuffle this away as well. So it's just more of the same, hovering around at the 20 life mark. Now we draw into a Dispel, so we've got an answer for that Reality Shift now. I think I'll probably discard the Mental Misstep so that we can keep hold of Kess and try and keep the command attacks off of her. We're only at 2 commander damage for all of this, fortunately. Bouncing the Kess back to hand, as ever. Discard Mental Misstep. And they draw a card with their commando. Now a Cloud of Fairies, which effectively comes in for free, although they do have to pay the tax. Now we're hoping for more card draw, a board wipe. Any form of removal will do. Losing the flip to the Crypt. Okay, Isochron Scepter I don't think does much of anything, although we might be able to combo off with it if we draw into the right card. There's nothing we can do out of the bin either. I mean, I think we're just going for Kess again. We'll gain at least 1 life from that. Our opponent going for Reality Shift at the end of our turn, so we'll take this opportunity to gain a little bit more life, and we'll go for Dispel onto that. I don't think the chances of us drawing into Isochron Scepter combos are incredibly great, so we'll just have to discard that, I think. But we go up to 15 there at least. A Tandem Lookout with the tax paid. And they soul bond that with the Commando. So this has Shroud, and it can be blocked as long as Tetsuko isn't in play, but obviously Tetsuko is in play at the moment, so that will draw them 2 cards when it hits. So it's same old in this game, just trying to drag it out long enough to get into a board wipe of some form, Fire Covenant, Toxic Deluge, anything like that. And please don't draw into a combo for Isochron Scepter. Nope, just a land. I mean, that pretty much sums this game up, doesn't it? So I think at this point we can just say good game to our opponent. We don't have any cantrips. Yeah, I think we can say good game to our opponent and put that down to a bad experience. Let's just concede there. So you get a rough idea of what we want to do in this deck, but didn't have much luck there, I don't think. I'll try it again and we'll see if we need to make any edits. Mystic Remora is really good in eedi-H and multiplayer, which this is kind of akin to, but you tend to get a lot more creature-based decks in 1v1, so Mystic Remora might have to come out, but yeah, these are the little edits that we need to make as the gameplays progress, so let's try again. Kess Dissident Mage versus Nath of the Gilt Leaf, and I'm just looking at the hand now. We've actually got 2 combos in hand, so yeah, that's fun, isn't it? I asked for strong decks here, so our opponent might be able to disrupt us here. We'll keep that. Only 30 lands in the deck, so I'm hoping that we can draw into more without any cantrips. And we are on the play, so we don't get to draw a card straight away. Our opponent's mulled down to 5, which is relevant, so that might help us out. Let's drop ourselves the Fiery Islet. And it is a turn 1 Sol Ring from our opponent. Now that takes them into Arcane Signet, so they're going to have a lot of mana on us, especially if we can't get into the land straight off the top. Alright, there is a Lotus Petal, so that is... If we get into 1 more mana, we can go for Thassa's Oracle into Tainted Pact. I hate to do it, but I just seem to draw into this combo all the time, so you're probably not even seeing this video, to be honest. I'll drop the Isochron Scepter now as a means of them pointing removal at something. We actually can't do anything with the Dramatic Reversal and Isochron Scepter combo at the moment because we don't have any rocks. But we'll put that under there anyway. Like I said, try and get some removal out of their hand. Alright, and they got into a Vampiric Tutor. So going for that before the end of our turn 2. I dare say that's what they tutored for. Going for Nath straight away, so we're going to start discarding things. We really want to get into a land here. An Allosaurus Shepherd, they cast those the wrong way around. Might suggest that this is Elf Tribal though. Fingers crossed here, see if we can get into a land. Brainstorm is close, but I'm afraid not. We can protect our combo on top though, can't we? Yeah, I think we just have to go for this, and we might not be going for the Thassa's Oracle combo here. Yeah, look at all that we had to clear off the top. We'll put the Tainted Pact and the Thassa's Oracle on top then. And then we can play the Dark Confident here. And we'll actually draw into both of those next turn that way. Assuming that we don't lose the Dark Confident, that is. Discarding a card at random. And it is the Pact of Negation, of course. But they're down to one card in hand at least, so hopefully it's not removal. It is a Deathrite Shaman, which is pretty good against a Kess deck, but looks like we've got it next turn, unfortunately for them. Swinging at us for 4, we're not bothered about that. So Dark Confident will reveal the Thassa's Oracle, and then we draw into Tainted Pact. And with that on the stack, we go for the Tainted Pact here. And our opponent knows the combo, so they know that we've got them there. Magic Online has a terrible habit of showing you the same cards over and over again. I don't seem to have any trouble getting into Thassa and Tainted Pact. It's never the other... What is it called? Demonic Consultation. I don't get into Demonic Consultation. I always get into Thassa's Oracle and the Tainted Pact, which is noteworthy. So I'm going to try for a third time and then play the gameplays in a different order and shove the Thassa's Oracle wins at the end. If I get into it for a third time, then this combo's coming out of the deck. Kess Dissident Mage versus Yarok the Desecrated. And I think we're okay to keep this hand. Yeah, we've got 3 lands. I've asked for strong decks here. So I don't know if this is akin to eedi-H in 1v1, but yeah, I suppose it is. And get into another land, that is probably all the lands we're going to need. If we just go for Marsh Flats, we'll get in a tap land. Just another land from our opponent. I imagine we just hold up a Braid here, and we'll try and get down another tap land in Arid Mesa. They crack the Jund Panorama at the end of their turn. And now just holding up blue mana, seemingly. We don't mind getting into the long game in this deck anyway. We'll crack the Arid Mesa, go for another tap land. Alright, Mental Misstep can counter some fast mana of some form. I think we're still okay to just carry on limping along. Pretty uneventful game so far. I got a bit of pushback from the Obeka eedi-H gameplay because of Thassa's Oracle. This being a competitive 1v1 deck, I did decide to put the Thassa's Oracle combo in here as well. So hopefully that doesn't upset too many people. Farhaven Elf for our opponent. And we'll just go for yet another tap land here. Well, we're getting into some cards, but we're not getting into any of our cantrips, unfortunately. Why don't we try and encourage some removal out of our opponent's hand? We'll go for the Kess now, even though we've got absolutely nothing to do with her. There is Sidisi, Undead Vizier, so I'm guessing they are going to kill off the Farhaven Elf. Yeah, we'll just have to allow that. I didn't want to point a Braid at the Farhaven Elf before, so they'll get a tutor here. Alright, well, there's an Aetherflux Reservoir for when we want to start storming off. But we're still not getting into anything too incredible. And we'll just start hitting our opponent, I think. Might just be worth getting down the Aetherflux Reservoir, actually, because we can't counter any removal that goes onto Kess anyway. Not unless it's a 1 mana removal spell, that is. Sidisi hitting us for 4. Excellent, and then a Birthing Pod from our opponent. That will get an Abrade onto it straight away. Sacrificing Sidisi for a 6 CMC creature. And it is Duplicant to get rid of our commander. Okay, there is a Dismember that we can use on the Duplicant if we want to. I think I'm definitely going to go for Abrade on the Birthing Pod here. And that will gain us a life. And then if they go for their commander, we can actually go Duplicant onto, or Copy Artifact onto Duplicant and get rid of their Yarok. I think we can do that with Copy Artifact. Yeah, it's any artifact on the battlefield. So we'll look to do that next turn, I think. And then we can use Dismember to keep a second Yarok out of play. Whacking us for 2 before anything else. Now a Wood Elves from our opponent. Managing to ramp ahead of us. We haven't gotten into any of our cantrips or moxes or fast mana. So they're getting ahead of us here. Still got cards in hand. And there is a Reclamation Sage. Which we cannot do anything about that either. So Aetherflux Reservoir goes down here. And there we go, finally getting into a preordained, so we'll cast that, scry 2 and draw a card, and there we go. Hate to rely on it. I'll probably put this at the end of the game because people will click off as soon as they see this, but we're going to go for the Tainted Pact Oracle combo. So let's put that on top and put that on top. We'll play the land and not crack it. And yeah, we're just holding up Dismember and Mental Misstep. Pact of Negation if we're absolutely desperate. And not swinging in at us, surprisingly. Now it is Nissa Vastwood Seer, so I'm guessing this is a landfall variant of Yarok. And they tutor fort and play the forest immediately. Reveal the top card, which is an E-Witness. So they can get back that birthing pod if they want it. But deciding not to play anything, so they might be holding up counter magic, so we might not be able to get this combo off anyway, which I actually wouldn't mind. We'll drop ourselves the Thassa's Oracle. And then, as we've all seen a million times, it is Tainted Pact in response. That is resolving, so we'll exile our entire library here. Win with the Thassa's Oracle, most likely. We've got Pact of Negation for backup anyway. Yeah, because it's the typical boring Thassa's Oracle combo, I'll probably just put this at the end of the video. For those of you that managed to make it this far, big thank you to you for that if you did. Don't forget to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. I'm tribalkai on the eedi-H channel. Thank you for watching.